Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Hi, guys. Actually, I did because I'm recording this by myself. But I'm here with Edmund the monkey today. And, what are we doing, Edmund? Oh, that's great. We're doing a biography. Who's it on, Edmund? Oh, yeah, Adolf Hitler. This has never been done before. No one has ever done a biography. So, this should be like the first one in history, so I wonder how this is gonna work out. Hi, guys. It's me. I'm back with your boy, Edmund the monkey. So now we're gonna share the story of Adolf Hitler. It all begins on the 20th of April in 1889. Where was he born, you might be asking? Well, I could tell you that. He was born in Bernau am Inn, a town in Austria-Hungary. His parents were named Alois and Clara. He was the fourth of six children. If you ask me, that is a lot of Hitlers. There are like 8 Hitlers in his house. Whew. Alright, anyway. When Hitler was young, their family moved a lot. They moved from place to place to place, and then that obviously caused disciplinary issues when they moved to a school that was quite strict, and Hitler did not get along with the people at that school. He refused to conform with their disciplinary rules, and so his father started to beat him. His father beat him a lot throughout his childhood, and that would cause problems. His mother tried to protect him, but it wasn't much use. So, after they moved a lot of times, Hitler's father was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done with working because I'm lazy. So, you know what we're going to do? Hey, honey, get the kids. We're going to go farm bees. Yeah, that's right. They went to farm bees. I don't know why, but it's okay. You just quit your job, retire, and farm bees. So, their efforts to farm bees was a big failure. So they had to move, like after a year of trying to farm bees. So in 1897, they moved to Lambach. So I guess they wouldn't be at their farm anymore, would they? Yeah. All right. They moved to Lambach. The 8-year-old Hitler took singing lessons, sang in the church choir, and he considered being a priest when he grew up. He's like, hey, I want to be a priest when I grow up. That did not happen later, though. Just a spoiler. So, later, 3 years later exactly, in 1900, Hitler's brother, Edmund, died. Oh my gosh, that's the name of my monkey. Anyway. Hitler's brother Edmund died. And this deeply affected Adolf because he changed from being confident and outgoing to detached, and he constantly fought with everyone around him. So he really didn't have a good childhood. I mean, his father beat him, he struggled in school, and 3 of his siblings ending up dying before he was 25. So one of the ways to escape his bad childhood was art. Hitler turned to it, and it quickly became his dream. He wanted to be an artist. But his father said, nope, you are not going to be an artist. And he completely ignored his son's dream, and he threw him in a real school in Linz, September 1900. Hitler obviously rebelled against his father because he says, no, I don't want to go to this stupid school, I want to be an artist. And later, in his book Mein Kampf, he states that he intentionally did it poor in school, hoping that once his father saw, and I quote, what little progress I was making at the technical school, he would let me devote myself to my dream, which of course is art. Then something bad happened. His father suddenly died on the 3rd of January 1903. Hitler's performance at school really deteriorated, and his mother let him leave. And then, so they had to move schools. They didn't actually move. But they moved schools, and he enrolled at the real school in Steyr, September 1904, where his behavior kind of improved a little bit because he got along with the people there. And then in 1905, after passing a repeat of the final exam, wish I had repeats on these exams, Hitler was allowed to leave. He passed school. So he left school, and he didn't know what he was going to do in life. So he was like, hey, might as well pursue my dream. He enrolled at the where did he enroll it? I don't know. Wait, no, here it is. He enrolled at the Academy of Fine Arts Vienna, but he got rejected. So he's like, hey, I'm going to enroll again, and they rejected him again. Poor guy. Anyway, the director there explained that his drawings showed unfitness for painting. They're like, yeah, your paintings suck. And they suggested that Hitler was better suited for studying architecture. I mean, this wasn't a bad career opportunity, but considering Hitler didn't even pass secondary school, he didn't even have a secondary school education. How the heck are you going to be an architect? You can't. You just can't be. So later, his mother, in December of that same year that he was rejected, his mother died of breast cancer at the age of 47. And then 2 years later, Hitler ran out of money and he was forced to live homeless, living in homeless shelters and public dormitories. They actually had public dormitories back then. So he was there at the public dormitory, and he earned money as a casual laborer and by painting and selling watercolors of Vienna sights. So he'd paint you a picture of like a house or something, and then he'd sell it. I don't know how you can make a living off that. Anyways. So, this is really the point in his life where all of his bad views, like anti-Semitic views, views against Jewish people and stuff like that, this is where they were all pressed upon him by the community around him and everyone else. So, after World War I, Germany needed someone to blame because they had huge losses with no gain. They spent a lot of money on the war, and they spent a lot of soldiers, and they gave up a lot of land in the end. Their economy kind of collapsed. You'd have to pay like $20,000 for a loaf of bread because they were printing way too much money. Stuff like that. The people were mad, and they needed someone to blame. So they're like, okay, well, they adopted this thing that was called the backstabbing myth. And what that was basically the Jewish people and the communists. They did it all. They lost us the war. They're the reason we're doing bad. So let's all hate them. And in Hitler's own words, if you tell a big enough lie and tell it frequently enough, it will be believed. And so everyone decided to start telling this lie. They're like, it was all the Jewish people and the communists. And of course, there weren't very many communists in Europe, but there were a lot of Jews in Eastern Europe. So they started to really not like the Jews that much. And of course, all of these views were pressed onto young Hitler, including like all the music that was around him, all the newspapers that were around him, and even his own mayor, Mayor Karl Lueger. He just adopted all these views along with German nationalist notions for political gains. So Hitler was basically just given all these bad opinions of people that he really knew nothing about. And then, so Hitler was called up for conscription into the Austro-Hungarian army. Hungarian army. I said Hungarian, didn't I? Yeah. So he journeyed to Salzburg on the 5th of February, 1914, for medical assessment. And they deemed him unfit for service. They're like, no, we don't want you. Get out. So he did. And later he claimed that it wasn't that he didn't make it, it was that he didn't wish to serve the empire because of the mix of races and the belief that their country would collapse. So later, in 1914, August, at the outbreak of World War I, Hitler was living in Munich and voluntarily enlisted in the Bavarian army. Yeah, I don't know why he did this. He was living in Germany, he was a citizen of Austria, and this dude enrolls in the Bavarian army. Don't ask me why. I'm confused too, right, Edmund? I know, that's so dumb. It's so stupid. Why would you do that? So anyway, he enlists in the Bavarian army. And what do you think he did there, huh? I don't know. Actually, I do know. It's on this paper right here that I printed. So basically, Hitler was a runner. You might be saying, hey, Austin, what's a runner? I mean, I assume they have something to do with running. You would be correct. So basically, when everyone is firing back and forth, in the middle of the trenches and stuff, they hand the runner a letter and they say, here, go run over there through all the battlefields. Go deliver this letter. It might not even be useful. It'll be like, hey, what's up? What's up, General? But you gotta run over there anyway. You gotta risk your life and you gotta run through bullets and stuff. So that's what Hitler did. And, yeah, that was what he did. He also pursued his artwork career by drawing cartoons and instructions for the army newspaper. That's pretty cool. No, it might be. During the Battle of Somme in October 1916, he was wounded in the left thigh when a shell exploded in the runners' dugout. It's where all the runners hang out. They're like, hey, let's build our own dugout for all the runners. So yeah, Hitler got injured and he spent almost 2 months in the hospital at Belitz, returning to his regiment on the 5th of March 1917. Later, in the next year, in October, he was temporarily blinded in a mustard gas attack. That's an interesting story. I'll tell you that later. And he was hospitalized in Pacewalk. While there, he learned of Germany's defeat, and by his own account, upon receiving the news, he suffered a second bout of blindness. So he's sitting there in the hospital, right? Just got cured for blindness after a mustard gas attack. And he's sitting there and they go, hey Adolf, Germany lost the war. And then this guy, he literally just hears the news and he goes, my eyes, I cannot see anymore. 9! What is happening? I can't see because we lost the war. So he was kind of weird. I mean, I don't know why losing the war would give someone blindness. I don't know. It was on his own account, so it's kind of sketchy, but, that's what I have. Hitler, he described the war as the greatest of all experiences. Even though he almost died from getting wounded in the leg and several mustard gas attacks, that's okay, because it was the greatest of all experiences to him. He was like, yeah, it's awesome. I love war. He was praised by his commanding officers for his bravery as a runner. His wartime experience, spent around German nationalists and patriots, of course reinforced the views of German nationalism and anti-Semitism. And like other German nationalists, he talked to them, and they also believed the stab in the back myth, which again claims that the German army, undefeated in the field, had been stabbed in the back on the home front by civilian leaders, Jews, and Marxists. The Marxists were like communists. Later dubbed the November criminals, that's what they called them. Hitler returned home to Munich, and the army ordered him to infiltrate the National Socialist Workers' Party. Yay, that's called the Nazi Party, by the way. Anyway, Hitler goes and he infiltrates, and he goes in, and he's member 555. I don't know why I decided to say that, but he was member 555. And he goes in, he's like, hey, these ideas aren't too bad, I kind of like them. So he goes in, and he starts believing what they're saying, buying what they're selling, if you will. So he becomes a spoken member, a spokesperson for the Nationalist Party. And so, excuse me. So he goes out in public, and he starts speaking for these people. He's like, hey, you guys should believe what I believe, because it's cool. And they start getting support. People are like, yeah, that is pretty cool. I do want to believe what you're believing. And then so they make a really bad decision by trying to start a coup. And, it's called the Beer Hall Putsch. Something like that. It's German. And they kind of like stormed a place with guns. They're like, hey, we're starting a coup. And then the police were like, no, you're not. And they took Hitler and they threw him in prison. And then they're like, it sucks to suck. Now you're in prison. He got sentenced to 5 years, and he found something productive to do, which surprisingly wasn't art. He wrote a book called Mein Kampf, and everyone knows that. So I don't even know why I'm talking about it. But anyway, he wrote a book called Mein Kampf. Once he gets out, he's like, hey, let's publish it. So they do. And then they start gaining more support. And people are like, this is pretty cool. So he gets out of prison, and he quickly regains support for the Nazi Party. And he makes their symbol, the swastika. He draws it. I'll put one up here if I'm editing correctly. Also in his book, he talks about the master race and how all they deserve is power and stuff, and no one else deserves to live. Also, with my superior editing skills, I will edit myself to look like the master race. Alright, cool, now that that's over. From then on, he becomes the dictator, after he was the chancellor, because he ran for chancellor multiple times, eventually got in, and then he's like, I want to be the dictator. And the country of Germany's like, wow, we love you, that's a great idea. So they make him the dictator, and then he kicks off World War II by invading Poland, and he invades many of the other surrounding nations too, including France, Austria, Denmark, and a lot more. He would eventually be remembered as a tyrant forever because of mainly World War II, the Holocaust, and his bad views. People didn't really like him, they thought he was dumb and evil. And to some extent, that's true. And then, actually, it's not really a fun fact, but it is a fact. because I'm going to do a fun facts after this. Hitler, he goes and he's never been to a concentration camp. He's never been to one concentration camp in his life. Never goes to one. So yeah, after the war, Hitler's captured and then he commits suicide in prison. The end.